Hello there YouTube, and welcome to quite possibly the most powerful combat build you can make without using any exploits. This build is nigh on unstoppable. Even whilst playing on legendary difficulty, you can take down most enemies in a couple of swings, and you barely ever need to use a health potion. If you want to walk through the land of Skyrim as a god, sowing the seeds of chaos everywhere you go, then this is the build for you. The Chaos Warrior is an orc who seeks to become even more powerful than the Daedric princes themselves. He was raised in Cyrodiil and started life born to a blacksmith for the Imperial Legion. He learnt the art of smithing as quickly as any orc, naturally being skilled with craftsmanship, and his skill was praised by the Imperial soldiers. His skill was also noted by a mage within the city. The mage offered to teach the young orc the art of enchanting, in order to improve even more upon his flawless smithing skills. He happily accepted this offer, always eager to improve his skills. During his lessons, the mage would tell him about an event referred to as the Oblivion Crisis. The orc was fascinated by the tales the mage told him, and there was something in the way the man talked about it that made the orc wish he had been able to witness the events for himself. The mage eventually started to expand the knowledge he taught the orc, moving on from enchanting to destruction magic. Although the orc clearly didn't have much natural magical aptitude, he tried his best and eventually was able to cast a handful of different spells. One night, when the orc was on his way to his latest lesson with his teacher, he saw a group of angry and armed citizens standing outside of the mage's house. He sneaked into the back entrance of the house and asked the mage what was going on. The mage revealed to the orc that he was in fact a vampire who worshipped Mehrunes Dagon. He offered to the orc a suit of enchanted Daedric armour, and told him that if he helped him to escape, he would make the orc the most powerful creature to walk Tamriel. The orc accepted, stepping into the suit of armour and slaughtering the townspeople who had gathered outside. The two fled the city, and once they were to safety, the mage offered to turn the orc into a vampire, telling him that just one bite would make him all-powerful. The sun had just risen, and the mage appeared weak whilst under its rays. The orc questioned why he would only want to be strong when it is night time. The mage quickly became angry and charged towards the orc, trying to claw through his armour and sink his teeth into him to drain some of his blood. Seeing how weak the mage was when he was desperate for blood made the orc disgusted. He drew his axe from his side and in one swift blow beheaded the mage. Never would he be reduced to such a weak state as that of his former teacher. He had now truly become the Chaos Warrior, and travelled north towards the border of Skyrim, slaughtering anyone he encountered and leaving a path of chaos in his wake. When he reaches the border, he charges headfirst into the ambush of Ulfric's Stormcloak, killing Imperials and Stormcloaks alike. However, a crack appears in his armour, and he takes a sword strike to the back of his head, breaking his helmet and knocking him unconscious. After he is free of Helgen, he will seek to build himself a more powerful suit of armour than he had before, and return to his mission of spreading chaos across all of Tamriel. Whenever you level up, focus primarily on increasing your health. You want to put about 80% of your level ups into health to make you as much of a tank as possible. You'll then want to focus on putting about 10 to 15% of your level ups into stamina, in order to use power attacks easier and just run for longer periods of time. Finally, you only want to put 5 to 10% of your level ups into magicka. You do use some magic with this build, but it is overwhelmingly a warrior build, and through enchanting you can reduce the cost of your spells enough that you really won't need a huge pool of magicka to draw on. The main skills for this build are smithing, heavy armour, one-handed, and enchanting. Smithing and heavy armour are going to get you up to an armour value of 567 or higher. The reason you want to get your armour value to 567 is that once you hit that point you get an 80% damage reduction, the highest possible to get within Skyrim. For this reason, it isn't worth putting too many perks into the heavy armour tree. You probably won't need every single perk that boosts your armour value, as reaching the armour cap is going to be fairly easy. One-handed is your primary way of dealing damage. I personally used a Daedric axe as my weapon of choice, but you can use the mace or sword if you so prefer. Honestly, I went with the axe simply because I prefer the look of it. Enchanting is the skill that really helps to maximise the potential of this build. You will ideally want to get all of the perks in this tree, but you don't need the Soul Squeezer and Siphon perks if you don't want them. The secondary skills for this build are Destruction and Alchemy. Destruction may seem a bit of a strange skill for a character who is overwhelmingly a warrior, but it serves a couple of useful purposes. The first of these is providing us with a ranged attack. Some enemies are far easier to deal with at range, and it's always helpful to be able to do so. More importantly though, a few of the destruction perks are actually going to make our enchantments more powerful. All of the augmented perks in the skill tree will increase the damage dealt by the Chaos enchantment by an additional 50%. Alchemy is more of an optional skill for this build. If you have played a lot of Skyrim, then you probably know how powerful alchemy can be for boosting your skills. Although you don't need to use alchemy at all to make this build, it can help to further ramp up the power. I personally didn't use alchemy whilst playtesting, as it wasn't necessary, but if you are planning on playing on legendary difficulty, or just want to feel even more invincible, then you can use alchemy to make fortified smithing and enchanting potions, to make all your gear ridiculously more powerful. There is some choice for which standing stone you choose for this build. Early on you will definitely want to go for the Lord Stone, as it gives you plus 50 armor rating and 25% magic resistance. However, once you have your armor fully upgraded, these bonuses aren't nearly as helpful. I ended up having the Lady Stone equipped at the end game, purely for some extra health and stamina regen, but if you want to use magic a bit more regularly, then I would recommend the Atronach Stone for 50% spell absorption and plus 50 magicka. The reduced magicka regen doesn't matter too much, as when your magicka pool bottoms out, you still have an insanely powerful axe at your disposal to finish enemies off with. Although there are plenty of great shouts and powers to use with this build, the only one I ever found myself using was Berserker Rage, the Orc's racial power. This will halve the amount of damage you take whilst doubling the amount you deal. Although you can only use this power once per day, it is still insanely powerful and will get you through any tough fight with ease. Whilst playing, your main weapon will be a Daedric one-handed weapon, be it a sword, mace or axe. I recommend carrying at least a couple of different weapons, one for soul trapping and the other for your main damage. I personally had two Daedric axes, both had chaos damage but one had soul trap whilst the other had paralysis. Absorb Health is also a great enchantment you can add to your weapons, for a bit of added combat regen. In order to get the Chaos enchantment, you will want to play the Dragonborn DLC, and help out the Redoran Guard until you eventually will kill an enemy by the name of General Carius. He will wield a weapon called the Champion's Cudgel, which can be disenchanted to learn the Chaos enchantment. If you don't want to disenchant this weapon, there is a chance that weapon vendors will sometimes sell Chaos enchanted weapons at higher levels. This will be rare however, so requires a lot of waiting around, but I have found that Glover Mallory seems to be the most likely merchant to stock weapons with this enchantment. The armour for this build is a full suit of Daedric armour minus the helmet. In addition, I recommend wearing a necklace and ring of your choice. You will want to enchant all of this with the most powerful enchantments that you have. I personally used a mix of Fortify Destruction and One-Handed, as well as Resist Magic and Fortify Health. In addition, you will want to wear the Dragon Priest Mask Konar'ik. With this mask equipped, whenever your health drops low, you will have a chance to instantly heal and damage any nearby enemies. If you want to see how to get this mask, then check out the video that the Daedric Warrior uploaded to his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check it out. This build doesn't have too much of a faction allegiance to him, but there are definitely a couple of factions which are worth joining. Although it may seem out of character for someone called the Chaos Warrior, there is a big benefit from joining the Companions. If you finish a few of their quests, then you will eventually get the option to become a werewolf. Whilst powerful in its own right, I personally just like being a werewolf simply for the purpose of having disease resistance. I do suggest joining the Dark Brotherhood for obvious reasons. You may not be stealthy, but walking around the place killing people for money and not caring who is watching has a real appeal to it, and can even be a lot more fun than being a stealth assassin. The playstyle of this build is fairly simple. You're insanely hard to kill, and everyone you fight will be dead in seconds. Go around Skyrim killing anyone you please, and if anyone stands in your way, then make sure they suffer. You can do any quest you want, but try to avoid outright helping people or being friendly. The Chaos Warrior is meant to be a corrupted and evil individual who desires power, so do whatever it takes to obtain ultimate power. Thank you very much for watching my latest Skyrim build. I've spent a lot of time recently getting back into the game since the special edition came out, and I'm going to have plenty more great builds coming in the future, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Leave a comment below with any builds you would like to see and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. It really lets me know what to focus on. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in my next build.